Hi, this is Steve from LZ23 Strength, where we exert ourselves, we elevate our health, and we evolve in mind and body. And today I want to talk about three things that I've pivoted on or changed my mind about a little bit. And as we get older, you start to reflect a little more, and things come to light, and you learn that you need to change. You need to change with the times a little bit, and you kind of reflect back on things that you probably should have changed maybe a decade ago or at least years ago. So I'm going to talk about three areas. The most controversial that you might find controversial, but I see it more and more on video sites, and might not be as extreme as it sounds, but basically that nobody cares. Nobody cares about what you're doing, your struggles. I'm going to save that for last, and it might not be as doom and gloom as it sounds, but it is a realization that shockingly, I feel I'm a very observant person, and it took me a long time to actually come to that conclusion, and maybe with the help of other YouTube videos from other folks. But let's talk about the first pivot that I've kind of based my whole life, kind of feeling like an underdog. My parents immigrated here back in the 50s, so I'm a first generation American. And I know they had challenges, obviously, coming here, and I tried to imitate my dad. And so hard work is the area that I want to talk about. I still believe in hard work, and that's always been the foundation for things you do in all aspects of life. I'm talking primarily in the workout space, but I'm going to sneak in a little bit about actual your job and work itself when it comes to that. But when I think of fitness and exercising, there's I always felt that just work hard, just put the time in and do what you got to do, and you're going to get the benefits and results. And I feel I have over a lifetime in general, but I feel probably back in my 50s, I should have done a few things differently. So I want to get into that. And the same thing applies in expectations. Um, it's not, I'm not trying to whine or complain, but I think some of the choices I made in this regard have affected health outcomes, not having a proper viewpoint. So it's good kind of doing this just so we're able to look at ourselves and see sometimes we need to change our attitude, change our mind on things. New research comes out, the way we feel. All these things can have an impact on us. And again, I've always felt that I'm just going to outwork the next guy. I'm going to outwork my situation and put the hard work in, and everything's going to be okay. And for the most part, it has been. It hasn't always been. I'm just going to give you an example. Recently, I listened to a podcast with Mark Sisson, and he's either 72 or 73 years old, and he was talking about his exercise routine in general, and he does way better than many men half his age. So he's a remarkable individual. But he's at a conference, some kind of a health conference, and he said that 3 days went by and he didn't get to do any of his exercises or workouts. And his next words floored me. He says, "That's okay." See, my whole life, that's not okay. I went to the gym or worked out so many times when I probably shouldn't have. It would take an extreme situation for me to miss a workout, and especially three times in a row, 3 days in a row. It would have to be something extraordinary to do that for me. So I'm sure maybe when he was a little younger, he didn't totally have that viewpoint. Maybe he came to that realization later too. And obviously, 72 or 73, you're not going to knock if you see how he looks and what he can do. Not going to knock his attitude or his philosophy when it comes to that. But I wish I would have thought of that a little sooner too. And even when it comes to hard work, you you look at different areas. Back then, I focused primarily on upper body, and legs would get some attention, but not nearly as much as they needed. So, getting into longevity, I've learned that now as we get older, legs are as important, if not more, when you think of balance and not falling as you get older, being able to do things like climb stairs, get in and out of a car. So many things that come along with the legs. So that's included in the hard work that need to put hard work into the legs now and give that the attention that they deserve. Now, going back to another individual that I listened to, and you've probably heard of Dave Asprey. He has a book that talks about working smarter, not harder. And while I haven't had a chance to read the book, I've seen a bunch of podcasts where they talk about it in depth. And I guess my wrong philosophy has always been that that's taking the looking for the easy way, and that people who are trying to do that to work smarter, not harder, are trying to take the easy way out. Well, that's not the greatest mindset or attitude. So trying to find a balance there. I still lean towards the hard work, but there are things that probably could do smarter and would definitely benefit somebody. Another attitude that kind of fits in there is kind of comes, I believe, from Tim Ferriss, who wrote the book, The 4 Hour Work Week. And I think for a while he was focusing on the minimum effective dose when it comes to all sorts of things, including exercise. And it might kind of fall into what Dave Asprey might be encouraging. How can you get the maximum effect of something with the minimum amount of effort and time, which I understand that aspect of it. That time is a big factor when it comes to hard work, and that's a benefit or a byproduct of doing things smarter, and maybe not. Hard work takes a lot of time in many cases, so I get it from that standpoint. But hard work, even when it comes to actual our jobs, I guess this kind of goes into the point of nobody cares too a little bit, but which we're going to get into briefly, is that you think you've done something. Again, I give an example. I've worked at a place for nearly 40 years. I feel as one of the hardest working people there. Others might want to debate that in whatever way, but I don't think the rewards match. So that's where the hard work sometimes kind of find a space when it comes to all things in life that we can be happy with when we look back as we're doing it. We maybe it helps us get through the day, but when we look back, we might think of things differently. So getting back to exercise, so the hard work, now my focus is working hard not only in weightlifting and resistance training, upper body and lower body, the legs, but also trying to get more cardio involved. Probably in my early teens to my mid to late 20s, cardio was just as big for me as weightlifting was, but probably from 30 to 60, the shift was pretty dramatic to bodybuilding, and cardio was just kind of an afterthought, as legs were kind of an afterthought, not given the attention they should. So I'm trying to get back to that, to be reasonably athletic and focusing on things like balance, mobility, head to toe strength for health and wellness, including cognitive. Because now as I get older, I've seen so many of my friends, particularly their parents, but even some younger people, having, pardon me, cognitive decline, dementia, Alzheimer's, at an alarming, for how many people it's affecting, it's alarming. So it's something that needs to be given attention to. So I still try to work hard. I encourage you to work hard, but it's not the end all be all. Probably in my 40s to early 50s, I wish I would have known this, and I would have made quite a few adjustments when it comes to my routine and attitude in general in life. And I could bore you with other details, but it's good to be able to pivot. It took me a little longer than I would have liked, or it should have maybe, but I'm pivoting now. So think of that, and there's so many things that we need to incorporate for health span and longevity that it's good to examine that. Closely related, the second point is diet. For 3 decades, the last 3 decades, I've probably been 220 to 225 pounds. There were times I was in my 230s, and if there was a doctor's visit coming, I would try to get low into my 210 down to 205, but that was very brief, and then I would rocket back up to my normal fighting weight, supposedly. So now my goal is I want to get down into the 190s. Currently, I'm about 210 any given day, give or take a few pounds. And I particularly want to eliminate visceral fat, and that's the fat that accumulates around our organs, and certainly not good for health span and longevity. So I feel a good weight where I could start to see abs again would probably be in the mid to low 190s. So that's my goal. And to accomplish that, I need to, again, change my diet, which is always challenging, and trying to incorporate more fruits and vegetables, particularly vegetables. And I've talked about other things that I'm trying to do, like extra virgin olive oil. And all of these things are to help our health and to hopefully live a longer, better life. If you follow my channel, you know I've had health issues and still dealing with those. So all of these things kind of were pushed along by my health situation, and it's important. And again, pivoting, I wish I would have pivoted more in my 40s to 50s from my diet and cardio. Maybe I could have warded off the need for 2 stents, where I had a heart attack a year and a half ago. And who knows when those things got to the critical stage, at what age. No, it takes a kind of a lifetime of those things happening, but I wonder if they accelerated in the last 10 to 15 years because of my weight and my diet and where my focus was. If I could have did something about it practically in that time period. So moving forward, I'm hoping to have that effect. So finally, let's get to our first topic that we were talking about. Nobody really cares. And I guess where that impacts of pivoting is how I view others, how I view myself, how I view my victories, how I view my setbacks. People, when I say they don't care, it's not a blanket statement about everybody. I know that family definitely cares, and friends care, but I guess the idea is that people are consumed with their own issues. They're trying to find their way. How many people are dealing with aging parents, trying to make a living, their own health issues, children, grandchildren? There's so many things that people are dealing with that when I say they don't care, they're very limited in how much they can care or what they can do and even think about. Or like I said, I feel I've been one of the best employees over 40 years where I worked. And aside from 2 or 3 people, the majority would probably shrug their shoulders and believe you or not believe you. Who cares? And I kind of learned that where I work because so many people have retired and moved on, and they were forgotten so quickly. I guess that's what struck me. People that I thought were core people to the company, and very quickly somebody else stepped in, and those people were literally basically forgotten. That nobody cares. I think of a song that I've always liked, and it's only in recent years that now I'm getting into the lyrics more. Is Jackson Browne, "Running on Empty." He has one particular line that struck me over the last several years. It says, "Looking out at the road rushing under my wheels, I don't know how to tell you all just how crazy this life feels. I look around for the friends that I used to turn to pull me through. Looking into their eyes, I see them running too." And I guess that's one of the realizations that we're all on this treadmill of life and trying to make our way. And nobody wants to be selfish, but sometimes because of life, that's where our focus and attention is, just trying to get through, or we're all running. So while we all care about each other, your family and friends, there's only so much mental bandwidth, energy, and time that we can devote. So and even little other things that I've observed. Um, I know this will be controversial, and probably could do a whole video on this. I've watched a lot of videos lately on LeBron James and Michael Jordan, who's the GOAT. Personally, I don't think it's even close. Michael Jordan is hands down the GOAT. But to see how strongly people feel of one or the other, Kobe Bryant and others that have played in the past, so many phenomenal players kind of don't really get the love that I think they deserve. And again, does anybody really care? Some people like don't even want to bother talking about that. It could be any sport. I'm just using basketball as an example, but nobody really cares. Saw another video about a gentleman, young fella, who plays guitar and sings, and I've actually thought about doing that part time. You could tell with my wonderful voice how good that would be, but I enjoy music, just as I talked about Jackson Brown. But he talks about playing out, and most of the places that you play, nobody really cares. They don't care if you're really good. You're kind of just like background music, like a radio in most cases. There's some people that are into it, and you might have a few fans that are really into it, but in general, you're just kind of background noise. And I hate to use that word because it takes some talent to be able to get out there and sing and play. But his whole video was on how nobody cares, and I'm seeing more and more videos just in general. Another fellow who interviews older people and gets advice, and a lot of them emphasize the same thing, that nobody really cares. So it might sound a little cynical or depressing, but just the reality that everybody's more absorbed in their own life. A lot of times, not it's not a choice. It's just how things are because of the times we live in. So basically, those are the three things I just wanted to talk about briefly that I've pivoted on, and maybe to give you some food for thought of maybe there's things in your life you need to change to get healthier. Maybe there's things you're doing that you thought were making you healthy, but they might not be. Maybe it's time to dig deeper and see if we can make changes that are going to affect, because we truly want our health span and longevity to be good. And so we need to exert ourselves, evolve in mind and body, elevate our health. And sometimes that comes with pivoting and then changing our mind on different aspects of what we do on a daily basis. Appreciate you watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Hopefully you found this interesting. And we'll, I'm going to throw this in there. I've been doing this now for almost a year, and a lot of folks aren't. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do on YouTube, and I'm not getting what I expected on there as well. So I guess that's another aspect of nobody really cares. Hopefully you do a little bit, and I'm going to keep doing it for a while. So hang in there and keep watching if you do. I appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.